All right. Say when.
When?
Okay. So this is the, I don't know, third or fourth one of these. Laser SIG, light burn. We're going to do a little bit of show and tell on my diode laser because the Chinese were good and sent my rotary tool to me finally. And then also look at doing some laser etching on ceramic tile without breaking the glaze. So it's a, and I've tried a whole bunch of things, and I haven't got my diode laser where I want it, but I think it's going to be better at it than my big laser for doing the etching on the tile. So before we start, I'm going to show a little bit of what I've been playing with for the last 2 weeks, and then everybody else can show what they're playing with. Travis, can you give my iPhone the
Sure will. Alan's iPhone. There we go.
Since I don't have a real camera, my camera's on my laptop today, so
Yeah, don't have your phone on. The video's not on there yet.
there we go.
There we go. Okay, now let's spotlight it. Voila.
So let me see if I can get it to turn around now. How do I turn the camera around? Okay, well, we'll do it this way since I have my thing. So I've been playing with our Christmas ornaments a little bit. Santa. I'm watching and making a list for Santa. The boys are just a little bit different. It says the same thing. It's just that they have a hexagon instead of a circle. That's my idea because I wanted to be able to tell the difference in the two. I think Travis is going to put circles on the bottom of his. I made this was a pattern for a weather vane. It was actually a CNC pattern I got from someplace. And this thing was supposed to be like 4 feet across. And then here's the eagle that goes with it on top. So I wanted it to go on my desk, and I haven't got the dowel pin to make it go together. And then we go to this is my playing with the tile. My sister-in-law came by today and stole one of my examples. So this is the one. I don't know if you can tell. Let's see if I can get some shade in there maybe. You can see her feet. I did this one at different speeds all the way up.
Wait, Alan, are you telling us you did this on the Ortur?
No, I didn't, but I think it's going to work better. I think it's going to work. I didn't have a place to set my tour up.
Ah.
But this is done at like the lowest power setting you can use on your laser. This is I can't remember the guy's name now. Brady Barkley. He's a famous black and white artist in London, and he made this. This is the superhero, COVID superhero painting he made for some hospital over there. And then these I was just trying. So I tried yellow paint instead of white paint. That's an epic fail. But everything had. I guess it would be all right if you wanted the old tin type looking.
Right.
Thing. So we'll get over that in just a minute, but we'll go over here. Here's my newest toy. I ordered this at the same time I ordered my my laser, and 2 months after I got my laser, this showed up. So the cool thing is the rollers on this are made out of silicone, or they're a silicone coated. I don't know what's on the inside.
It's kind of like a sleeve.
Yeah, and it's not sticky, but it's it's like silicone, so it's going to grab the bottle.
Yeah.
So to give you a little bit of how big it is, that's a Dos Equis bottle. So
So you got it to be recognized by light burn, and it's turning the way it
I
should.
haven't got that far yet, but
Oh.
it's Ortur. So it came in. I just wanted to show you how it came. It's like those lasers. It's packed tighter than all holy get out.
Yeah.
And these things are $59 on Gearbot. So it's really, I think it's going to be worth it. That's part of the reason I bought this thing, was to make the diode laser be my etcher on glass and things like that. I've got to I got to get this where it goes way up here. But I bought a lab jack for that to raise the laser up. I'm working on that. Got it designed. I just haven't got it built like everything else.
Did you get the 20 watt?
No, I haven't got the 15.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So what's his name? Todd, who was the guy that was on our call this morning. I don't know if he's on here or not now. I don't
Not
see
yet.
him.
We scared him away this morning.
I hope not. Spent a lot of money. He bought the 20 watt, but he bought the 20 watt one that has the big square base.
Oh yeah, the much larger cutting area.
Right. It has like a 300 millimeter square or something like that cutting area. Yeah. So if he ever gets that from China, we'll have a something to compare there. And he bought it's a 20 watt with that one.
Got it. Okay.
So
Now, a quick question on your rotary device that you just got. Are those rollers always parallel, or are they somewhat adjustable so you could put in a tapered glassware?
So they're always parallel. They're adjustable by picking this one up and moving it over through the comb. So you can bring it over to here. I measured a wine bottle and a beer bottle and a soda can, and this seemed to be the general place for all three of them. But I want to show you something else. When we started talking about taper the other day, let me get back over here in the light, one end of the shop to the other. I built a Longsworth chuck. And my idea is, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, but my idea is I'm going to put rubber on these 4 pieces here and make it where it'll hold a glass, a bottle, whatever. And that way your whatever you're working on is parallel on both ends. So it has the same turn ratio all the way around. And then you can work by just raising one end. I'm having to look over my shoulder while I'm doing this, but you could raise this to get the glass parallel that way. That's what I did when I did brandy glasses. I used with the brandy snifters.
So Alan, just so that everybody is up to speed on what you're talking about, folks, you need to remember that the laser only etches in a very specific focal area, a certain distance away from the lens. And so if you're at a angle, such as on a pint glass, if you had a pint glass on there, it would only be in focus during part of its movement from one end of the glass to the other. So what they're talking about is tilting the pint glass so that, do you have anything that could show as an example there, Alan?
Yeah, hold on a second. I got all kinds of weird stuff over here. No, it's not a pint glass, it's a vase. How about that?
Yeah, but it makes the point, yeah.
So if you put that on, okay, here, let's just put it on here. If you put it on there, it's not level.
It's not parallel with the travel of the x-axis.
So you have to bring up this end of your rotary thing to get it parallel.
Right.
And then your problem becomes it slides off the other end while it's going around.
It's not as much of an issue though with that silicon.
No, I bet I'm hoping it's not.
Yeah.
I've never seen one. Mine for my big laser is metal.
Yeah.
And it's like checkered.
Yeah, and it just slides right off.
Yeah. So what I did was I made these rings. I was doing some very small brandy snifters. And I can't remember if this, I think this was the top and this was the bottom. And I just hot glued them on. But the circle is 80 millimeters in diameter. and then you just put the middles in there on whatever size you want. I was doing shot glasses here. You can see this is the bottom of the shot glass. These weren't as fancy. These were version 1. And this is the top of the shot glass. Glue them in, and then you can do that with them.
So on one end, you have the lip of the shot glass. On the other end, the shot glass is centered in the right wheel, and that wheel is actually what's on the rotary attachment, correct?
Right. Yes, it is. And by doing that, because if you don't, it can turn at a different rate too. If you're sideways there, and it just makes it easier to be level. In my opinion, it was easier to work with up on those pieces. So I decided, instead of making those little wooden things, I was going to make a longboard chuck. This is made with my laser.
Zoom call.
So if anybody wants this pattern, I have it.
Alan is talking right now. I'm just at the controls, so that's okay. Go ahead.
And then you can make your own that way. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm doing it right now between Alan, his phone, and his desktop. So yeah.
Hi, Travis.
Oops, sorry.
You loop us into the conversation.
Sorry. I forgot to mute.
Oh, I just wanted to hear the other side of the conversation. I thought it would be fun. So does anybody else have anything they want to show before we get started on this ceramic that they've been working on? It would be, if we can get our master of ceremonies engineer, he can lock your screen on instead of mine for a few minutes.
I had a question about your grayscale there.
Okay.
Yeah, so you said you're doing that on the big laser at really low power.
Yeah, I'm using my Frankenstein laser, which is a 60 watt, and I'm using 8%, which is right around really about, I think in reality, about 10 or 12% on what you would use the one at the shop. But 100 millimeters a second. Really slow, really low power. And my problem is mine quits firing at about 6.5%.
Sure.
So if I get down into the, and it depends on the picture I found, that I guess how black it is where that is. So I found 8% was a good point to have the speed at, or the power at.
Sure. Do you see any vertical banding in your grayscale images?
I
know the lasers at the shop, it's pretty significant from the stepper motors.
No, I don't. Now, the only one I had was the one that yeah, the yellow one sort of shows a little bit more. Let me see if I can show it. Let me see how close I can get this. And I don't know that you can see it, but the yellow one shows a little bit more. But the white ones I've done, I don't see any, because you're not really burning. What you're doing is you're getting the ceramic surface hot enough that the white paint burns and then becomes part of the ceramic. And you can tell when you burn through, it's hard, it's hard to see here, but you lose the sheen when you burn through, because you etch off the glaze, and you don't want to do that.
It's really interesting, Alan, that you can get that range of grayscale within such a narrow band of percentages. I guess it really speaks to how the glaze responds differently from the material we're used to working on, which is the wood.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can figure is, and I tried going faster with the same thing doesn't, well, that's what this little, I don't know, maybe you can see it better this way. There, I think you can probably see it.
Yeah, what happened between the top dark part and the light?
So this is 300 at 10, and then it went down to 200 at 10, 150 at 10, and then 100 at 10. So you see the difference that it made. It's same power. The speed difference there just didn't keep it warm long enough, I guess, because it wasn't on the spot.
Right. But this was not a grayscale. This was a black and white image, right?
Yes, this was a black and white image. It wasn't a grayscale. So I found out the black and white ones are a little bit harder to do. You have to be a little more careful, or you actually just etch the paint off and burn the oh, and that's the other thing. Black tile doesn't work, and gray tile doesn't work. I tried both of those. I tried white paint on black tile, black paint, and white paint on white tile. I think that's what the combination was, and it doesn't work. So white tile seems to be the only one that this works with, and it works best with white spray rattle can paint.
Alan, what is the paint doing? I don't quite understand. Are you affecting the glaze on the tile, or are you affecting the paint that's on the glaze on the tile, or is it a combination of how the paint affects the tile?
So you take the tile out in the sun and spray it nice and even. Doesn't have to be a real thick coat. It just has to be a good coat over the whole thing. Let it dry. And I found the longer you let it dry, the harder it is to get off. But you bring it in, you put it in, you laze it, and basically what you're doing is in the dark areas, you're heating up the tile and burning off and burning in the paint to the ceramic top coat.
Got it. We have that chrome molybdenum or whatever it is, that spray can at the shop that is kind of a thin oil, and you put it on metal and then you laser etch it. And it's really the combination of how the heat and that oil affect the metal that changes the color of the metal. I guess you're saying that the similar kind of combined chemistry is what's doing it on your tile.
On these white tiles, yeah.
Got it.
It seems to be, it works. It's the exact same process. Take it out, spray a coat of it on. The metal polychromium or whatever it is stuff wipes off real easy though. Then the paint you have to take. So I've decided that if I do these, I literally go paint them, let them set for 30 minutes and bring them in and laze them. And then I can just take alcohol on a rag and wipe it, and it'll get rid of all the enamel paint off of it.
Have you done any yet? I'm sorry. I was going to ask if you had done any yet with your diode, because so many of us have the diode. I was just curious if you had any results yet.
Nope, that's the next thing I've got to. Now I've got, you saw, I've got it down to where I can at least put the laser on a workbench.
Yeah.
Horizontal surfaces around here are a extreme value.
Alan, that baby picture is remarkable.
And so that's the other thing I was going to say. That's a color picture. So I found that the picture of the old man, this one. So this one is a black and white photograph from some famous photographer. I don't remember. I downloaded it. And it didn't come through very well. But this one is a color photo. This is a baby photograph out of the hospital. One of the girls I work with had a baby, and this was the one she put on the internet, or she sent out to all of us it was a hospital baby picture. And it was in color. Lightburn brings it in as black and white automatically, and I didn't do anything to it except say go. So the next thing I thought, well, wonder what would happen if you used one of those STL, I think that's what they are, the files that's used for 3D burning. Is that what it is, Travis?
3D printing?
Yeah, the 3D, where we do the burning in the wood and make it 3D.
Well, we got our expert here with David. David, what is it?
David, what are those called?
Yeah, you can do it with an STL file. I mean, any 3D model will do.
Yeah, yeah. So I downloaded a couple of those.
It was the depth
map.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I downloaded a couple of those, and that's what this one is. And as you can tell, you can almost tell there's a blob there. So it didn't work well. And I tried it both ways, negative and positive. and this is negative, and it came out better. The positive one just was yuck. This one was almost yuck. But these tiles, I mean, this is play stuff. These things are like 20 cents a piece or something. You have to buy them by a case, but I think it's like $4 for 24 of them or something. I don't remember what it was at Home Depot. I got these cost me like 3 cents a piece because they were octagons and they didn't want them anymore. So they had them on clearance 2-3 years ago when I first started this, and I bought 2 or 3 cases of them. But so they're my real play ones. But I'll warn anybody, octagons are hard to fit things on if it's a square picture. Unless you just want a square in the middle of the octagon. This baby one, it took me a long time it still got white on either side.
Yeah.
If you blow it up enough here to get it across, you lose too much on the top and the bottom, and I tried turning it, it didn't work. So I'm gonna go, next time I go by Home Depot, I'm gonna buy a box of square ones and for more. But everybody that's seen that baby tile has gone crazy about it.
Yeah, it looks great.
And you don't have to do it, it's a coaster. All you gotta do is glue some cork or felt or whatever you want to put on the bottom of it, and it's a perfect coaster. So that one's already, I gotta give that to the baby's mama. But we've had a really good time playing with that this last couple of weeks. And it's just something I just saw it on YouTube one day. It's like, oh, you can't do that. Burn paint into ceramic.
Yeah.
But if he can do it, I'll try it. So, but I've tried different. I'm still looking for different painting or different pictures. And I've got Corel Draw, but I've never loaded it on my machine. So I want to play with something and play with the contrast on like just a plain black and white picture and see what I can do there. See if I can make it better or whatever. But so let's see. So that's about it. Like I said, use white. Don't use, I mean, you can use any color you want. Play with it. But I found that white, I think it's Krylon. Let me go look. Oh, it's Rust-Oleum. White Rust-Oleum.
You've walked away from your microphone. We can't hear you.
So, all right.
Alan, we didn't hear that because you had walked away from wherever your microphone
Oh,
was.
sorry. Yeah, I'm using my iPhone as a camera and talking to my laptop, and I walked away from the laptop. So it's white Rust-Oleum 2X paint is what I was used. That's the only white I had.
Got it.
And it's sort of a crappy can, so it worked. I was going to try playing with some other stuff. Try spray on some just shellac, see what happened with that. And I've already tried yellow and it doesn't work very good. And I don't have any paint thinner left, so I've got to go back and get some paint thinner so I can get this yellow paint off and see if it's actually any better. But I don't think it's going to be. All right.
Did anybody else have anything? I think you asked if anybody had anything else to
Yeah,
share.
well, I sort of did, and then we got questions, and then we sort of went into this, and as normal, I jeopardized the conversation. So,
I have something, it's not very much, but I can show it if you
well, sure.
take a minute or
Travis,
so.
unlock me.
I shall, sir.
Okay.
Is that Jim? Jim, was it you?
Yes.
This is,
Hang on, Jim. Wait a second. Let him lock the
Gotta find
camera
ya.
for you.
Jim. There you are. Okay.
okay, so this is my laser shield.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So I just bought 5 sheets of this laser plexiglass and glued it together and put it around the laser. And I bought a couple, you can see them, they're little muffin fans. I've got
Very nice.
Are they exhaust or blow?
They suck.
Okay.
Well, then you should
they-
want better ones.
So right here, my finger is going through a slot.
Oh, okay.
So this is the air intake and it's pulling the smoke out.
Okay, good.
Fans are exhausting it. And this is the intake right here.
Got it.
So where did you get that laser-proof acrylic?
That was J-Tech, I think it was. It was
Jim,
that-
didn't you post all this on the forums?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
how I got the idea. So I looked it up online and bought 5 of them, and there was $100 worth, and it came within a week. And you get this plexiglass adhesive and put it all together, and it just seems to work.
So, yeah. So that's what I was going to show everybody too.
Okay. Well, that's all I had.
Okay. I can take a hint.
Okay, we'll take a hint back this way. Here we go. Put me back on there for a second.
I will.
So I went by MGM the other day. After we talked last week, they have a lot of polycarbonate, which you can't burn or you can't cut with a laser. But what I did find was this really cool acrylic solution, glue stuff. This one. Okay, hang on a second. Let me get
You have
rid
to
of
put it in front of your body.
Oh, there you go. Let me get rid of this background thing here for a second. I'm just too cool for my own good there with that background. There. So this is
Yeah.
fast set acrylic. It's $6.25 a bottle. And
Where'd
then
you buy it?
MGM
Okay.
in San Marcos, and then they sell you these little applicator. It's got a hypodermic needle thing on it. I tell you, 1 drop of this stuff will go forever. But the cool thing about it is you can pass light through it after you cement it together, because it becomes a bond. You're not putting a barrier in there. It actually melts the acrylic so that the two go together, and you can pass a beam of light through it. Where if you use super glue, or I don't know what else you would use, but if you use super glue, it gets a little foggy, and it just bonds. It doesn't melt the two together correctly.
I'm curious if that's what Jim used for his gluing of pieces together.
Yes, I got mine at E-Plastics.
Same stuff?
Yeah,
It
probably.
looked like the same stuff.
Okay.
So there's
What my wife does, she takes that adhesive and she puts it on the edge of the plexiglass, and it sort of melts it in the equivalent of polishing it. So you get rid of all saw marks or file marks or
oh, okay.
That's a good idea.
It looks nice.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that. That's
Yeah, that's a good
something
idea.
else you can do with it. Yeah. But it's just like, I think it's thinner than water.
Yeah.
It's that 1 drop will flood everything.
It runs everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. But it's
What I did is I took a little itty bitty paintbrush and touched it, got some adhesive on the paintbrush. I didn't have that syringe that you had, just a little paintbrush between 2 edges, and it just sucked it right up.
Yeah.
So it was real easy to use.
yeah, those things you can. I'm sure that you can buy these a lot cheaper than these were. Like $3. It was half as much for this thing as it was with a bottle of glue. And I think if people want to do that, they ought to get together and maybe 2 or 3 people split it, because unless you're going to do a lot of gluing, from what I've done so far, that bottle is going to last me about 10 years. It will probably dry up from evaporation before I use it all.
Yeah. Although mine's about 10 years and it's a metal can, so it doesn't even evaporate.
Yeah,
That's
but
it.
there's a metal can too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But did you get a bunch of replacement syringes with that, or did it not come with spare syringes?
nope, it just comes with the one, because it comes just a cap. It has the cap on it.
Yeah.
Well, crap, it comes off. So it's like a syringe, it unscrews.
Yeah.
So you can get these syringes on just the syringe on eBay or on Amazon. you just have to figure out what gauge it is, and it's probably little bitty, like 24 or 30 or something.
Yeah.
And they sell them. They're not sharp. They're blunt end, so you can't stab yourself with them. Well, you could if you pushed hard enough, but it's not like a regular sharp like a regular syringe. I'm thinking I'm going to steal one of my son's syringes here one of these days for his insulin and see if it'll fit on the thing. But just in case I needed one if I had to for something else.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I just wanted to comment on Jim's case. I find that using the Ortur without eye cover, which is totally not recommended, sort of gives me a headache. And I really think the glasses that come with it are pretty flimsy, not really very comfortable. I wear glasses, so putting the ones that come with the diode laser doesn't make a lot of sense. And so I really particularly like what you've done there, Jim. That's really cool. And it does take out the, 450 nanometer light. So it's designed to block the laser light that is made by the Ortur, right?
Yes, it was quite a wide range. I think it was 250 to 510 nanometers.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but it was quite a wide range that covered,
Yeah.
covered the required frequency.
And it was basically the footprint of the Ortur plus a little bit just for the boundary. So you basically will keep your pieces just to the size of the cutting area, or basically what will fit inside.
Well, you couldn't do something bigger. Well, you could, because you could set it down on top of it, Travis.
So I'm just wondering, I guess, if he has
the side.
How did you open it up, Jim? Was it a lid on top? Did we lose
Jim,
Jim?
you're on mute. Give him the picture back, Travis.
Yeah, I've unmuted him, and now we'll actually see him too.
No, you didn't unmute him. There you go. Whoop.
There, now.
There you go.
Oh, you turned your video off, Jim.
Oh, okay. I don't
Wes
know.
is having way too much fun watching this thing play out here.
Okay.
Oh, Sam's kind of uproariously laughing too. I don't know about that.
So this is the cover, and you can probably see the Ortur back here.
Yeah.
So all what I do is
Okay.
drop it straight over, and I've got in the corner, I don't know if you can see it, but
The stops?
and the stops are tapered. They've got two tapers. So I get close and then I put it straight down, and the last quarter inch is vertical, but the first quarter inch is tapered. So it fits nice and tight, which is what I wanted.
Got it. And it seems to me like you could have larger pieces protruding out the front and to the right. You just wouldn't have a tight seal on it. It would just be sort of slightly tilted angle, right? Work pieces, larger ply in there, could be sticking off to the right or out the front because you can put the lid right on top of it.
Oh, yeah, I was trying to get a seal as best as I could. I wanted the smoke. I wasn't sure how well these muffin fans would work. So I wanted to get as good of a seal as I possibly could.
So,
And it turns out that I bought two of them initially, and that seemed to work. And I had four of them coming. So I put in all four just because I have them.
You sound like David.
Can't go wrong with more fans.
I think you're
Jim, where does the smoke go? It gets out of the box, but you just put it into the garage?
Well, I put the whole laser on the patio the other day. So I was burning stuff outside. But in the garage, I open up the garage door.
Got it.
Yeah. And if I don't, you can smell it in the garage. It's a 3-car garage, man. You can smell it.
Yeah. I was thinking about doing the same thing, only I have the bigger 4-inch muffin fans. I had some laying around here, so I was thinking about doing that, and then I was just going to run it out the window here on the shop. Get a little hose and blow it out the window. My luck, it'd blow back in the window, but So, does anybody else have anything they've been working on?
Silence.
Silence. Silence. They, I've got, so I don't know if people have found some of these websites yet, but there's one website, it's ameede.com. Amedy, I guess, that has like thousands of files on them, and they're free. Just download them. You get the advertisements while you're downloading, because it makes you wait 15 seconds before you can download it. So that way you have to look at their advertisements. But so I just sit there at night and watch TV and download stuff. But they've got tons of patterns. The other place I get patterns from is called Laser Library. And I think it's out of Brazil or Portugal, one of the two. And it has a lot of Eastern European designers on there. So you have a lot of the, like I downloaded a jigsaw puzzle with alphabet letters on it the other day, and they were in Cyrillic. So it didn't help me a whole lot. But you can go in there with Lightburn and edit everyone. There you go. And,
Are those correct, Alan, the ones I put in the chat room?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
You can go in and, you know, that's the cool thing with Lightburn. You just take that pattern, import it, and get rid of those letters that you have no idea what they mean, and put A, B, C, D in there. And the ones that are a little harder, this one for the
Alan, can you tilt your camera down, because we can only see the top of your head? Yeah, that part.
wait a second. Now I got to figure out what happened here. Too many buttons on this thing. No.
Well, we're actually using a different camera right now that we're focused on.
Which one are you using? Oh, you're using this one? There you go. Okay. I'm gonna shut this other camera off then.
Okay.
I don't know how to do that either. How do I get out of Zoom?
Hey, Daryl.
Hey.
Lovely beach you have there.
Yeah. Wish I was there.
Hey, Travis, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I've got those 8 boxes that we want to etch the lid of.
Yeah.
Is this the group that would have the volunteer?
Yeah. Yeah, you had
Want me? I'm gonna hit you.
no ulterior motive in asking that question, right? Alan, before we're done, I'd like to get 2 or 3 minutes of time just to run through a little slideshow, okay?
Sure. Why don't you go ahead and do that while I'm trying to figure out which way's up on my phone.
Well, could I answer that by saying because I'm not ready?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm still trying to figure out my phone. Can you see the top of my head? There. How about that? So this little weather vane that I was talking about a while ago, I had to change they were in Russian or something. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't an English alphabet, and so I had to make go in and make the changes on the ends on each one. So it said north, south, east, west. I also made this thing from, like I said, like 3 feet down to 5 inches, but it's all just a play. It's all playing in Lightburn one way or the other.
Nice font.
I don't even know what that was. I just, you know, so there's a whole bunch of fonts on the both of the computers at the shop. I got a file that had like, I don't remember, hundreds of fonts in it. So all you got to, but you have to install each one on your own computer. And the problem is Lightburn will see them all and we'll read them, we'll put them on. But if you save it into a file and then you take that file into the shop and that font's not installed on the shop computer, then it won't recognize the thing, the picture. I don't even, like I said, I don't even remember what it is because I have so many of them.
So Alan, I'm ready to take that minute if you want to give it to me.
Okay, go for it. Travis is going to put on the dog and pony show.
Okay, little dog and pony show coming your way, folks. So we have this weekly get-together called the Holiday Gift Build. And we're always looking at ways of getting the community engaged and helping out with our biggest annual fundraiser. It happens in November. It's a sale that takes place at the shop, and it's stuff that's been made by people. The purpose for me personally is to learn new things. And I may not have a project that I have in mind, but I can get guidance on how to do a project. I can be with people doing things. This thing will probably start up again at the shop in the not too distant future. But in the meantime, one of the things that occurred to us was that a lot of people have purchased these Ortur little diode lasers, which frankly are really great for etching. So what kinds of projects might we be able to suggest to Ortur owners that they could use for practice and also to help us build product? So as you see here, the goals are to just learn to use our Ortur lasers and get good at it, to get engaged in doing these projects if you didn't have a list of your own, and also to help with the fundraiser. The next slide is just a bunch of examples. Now, the Ortur couldn't cut these things out. So our idea was that we would create a bunch of stock that was all ready to go. And this is just an example of a bunch of, this is just the theme of coasters, of course, but these are all things that the Ortur laser could do. And so if you were, for instance, to receive a stack of these, we'd already have laser cut out the bird and the actual coaster itself, and we'd be asking people to learn to use Lightburn with their Ortur and the file we give to be able to produce these things. And some of these are a little bit different from the others, but a little variety is what we'd like to do. Here are some other examples that aren't coasters. So here are bookmarks. We've already seen from Alan today that, you know, this thing could crank out some pretty decent looking art. We have door switches, we have utensils for the kitchen, just other ideas of things which this has in common with everything else. We create the blanks in the shop where people can come and pick them up, take them home, and using the Ortur and the files that we provide and the blanks that we provide, produce these things and get good with their product. Now, the reason this was brought to our attention by Dan is because one of the projects that has been done by Jim Bradbury is to create a bunch of tea lights, and he and Sam have really cranked out a lot of these things. But when you, in the process of making the tea lights, you have to cut out this center core, which would otherwise be waste. So what Dan did was he had the idea, well, why don't we turn these cores that would otherwise be tossed and turn them into a new product. And in this case, it's a box that might be inexpensively etched on the surface for a little girl or little boy. And it could be something that was a nice gift for some kid. So we have to decide on the artwork that this is exactly the kind of thing that could be done with Ortur laser. I have that he has 10 of these. I think he said 2 of them were already taken care of. But we'd have 8 more, which would require etching on them. And the beautiful thing too about this project is if you etch it and you blow it, you just sand it down again and give it another go, you know? So it's good for learning. It's good for the shop. It's good for being a part of the community. Here's another project. I did this one a couple of years ago. These are handles that go on a casserole tray. So there's a glass casserole that goes in the middle of this tray, and they needed handles on each side, but just wooden handles by themselves weren't particularly interesting. We ended up, I traced them, I then brought it into Lightburn, I found some wheat imagery on the internet, and then started cranking these things out. And so there were, I think, 24 sets of them that we ended up producing. Just a small way to get our skills exercised and doing some good for the community. So the request from this presentation is that if you are so inclined, if you aren't going to the shop, as none of us are yet, and you have an Ortur, then we'd love to see if we couldn't get you to be involved in this. Dan runs a call every Friday at 10 a.m., but that's not the only place. He also has a forum on our website. So at forum.sdfwa.org, there's a gift sale or gift build forum in there where you can ask questions, etc. The idea is to make a commitment to, if you do have a laser that can do the cutting, great. If not, then you can pick up blanks. To do the etching and assembly and finishing so that when we get it back, it's actually in a condition that we can put it into the inventory and make it available for sale. It's an opportunity. You know, everybody can, we are a volunteer organization. Everybody should find some way. This might be your way, and it might not. But if you don't know about it, you certainly can't take advantage of it. And that was the purpose of bringing it to your attention, so that if you are curious and would like to put your auteur to some good work, we have a way to do it. And I'm about to spotlight the guy who you would talk to about that. And he is this guy here.
Hello. Thank you, Travis. That was very helpful.
Sure, sure. Remind me tomorrow morning to do it in the CNC session with the CNC examples, okay? Any questions about that before I turn it back over to Alan?
We appreciate any help that any of you can give. This would be a great opportunity.
Matter of fact, since I can grab this camera back here.
And these
Oh,
boxes are for kids, so they don't have to be a perfect job when it's done.
there's plenty that needs to be done. Anybody know what these are?
Well, you've already got them done, so why do we need to do them?
Mine boxes.
We need, I think we need 50 of them or something, and I've got 10. Lots of extra wine bottle boxes to be made.
So,
Yes,
Travis-
Marty, wine bottle boxes.
And there's a variety of sizes too.
Oh, yes. I'll have to read that email to you guys sometime. It's pretty funny. We have a wine connoisseur in our midst, and he was enlightening us as to the fact that the default wine bottle boxes that we were making were only for a certain region of France. And that if we ended up getting something from Bordeaux and one other region, and it was a red, it wouldn't fit. So we've been going through and redesigning our wine bottle boxes just to accommodate the regions in France and their red wine bottle shapes. Incredible that somebody would know that. Anyhow, let me turn this back over to Alan here. Get rid of myself on here.
Thanks, Alan.
So, there we go. So that's really about all I have. If anybody's got any questions for, lasers or light burn, this is the crowd to ask them, because we've got lots of people here that use light burn. And oh, speaking of that, Travis, did you see that email I sent you yesterday about the Rudia controllers?
No, I didn't. What's about it?
You blew me off again, didn't you? $95 a piece for new ones.
What?
$95 a piece. Yeah, they're Rudia but they have a cloud ray emblem on them.
Yeah.
I can't tell any different. It looks just like mine, except it says cloud ray on the top of it. I
That's
paid
really-
$200 for mine, I think.
Well, so guys, what we're really talking about here is how the Ruida controllers are what bring the magic to the CO2 lasers that we have. They're the ones that have allowed us to do the grayscale. They're the ones that allow light burn to just sing and dance. They're really great. And we had, when we replaced the ones at the shop, they were $350, I think. So to see that Ruida controller, which is the computer inside the laser that you're sending all your instructions to, and it is then what's driving the stepper motors and the laser tube and that sort of thing. That is, if it's $99 versus the $350, that's pretty remarkable. That's really great.
And they've got a new version of the one we have out that's like $450. And instead of using the ZU button in the middle of the controller, it actually has a Z up and a Z down button.
Oh, finally, huh?
Yeah. So you can, and it actually says up and down on it, not
Oh, wow.
left and right. So
You'd think
for
it had happened earlier than this, huh, Marty?
Yeah.
us directionally challenged people.
Yeah.
So the other thing, so since I'm setting at the opposite end of my shop than I normally do, because I set this up so I could see the Ortur laser and have a sort of a top of my laser as the bench. I don't, since the diode laser, people that have them are not going to have as much of this as the people that have regular, 40 to whatever size lasers. But when you get back to the shop, the other thing is you can pick them up there. And my suggestion is you get a little box or a bag, and when you go through and you cut whatever you cut out, a wine box or whatever, when you have, pull this out here. Oh, I'll make a mess before it's over. Can you give me that back, Travis?
Sure. You want to do what now? I'm sorry.
Just give me the picture back. Give me the camera back. It's you instead of me.
Oh, is it? I see you.
I know you're cute and all, and people don't want to look at me because I'm bald, but that's beside the point. You got to get the camera every once in a while. So,
Okay.
So right beside my laser up on the wall here, there's a bookcase, but I have this plastic shoebox, and this plastic shoebox is falling out all over the stuff, is full of everything, all those little pieces that you cut out of the laser, those little circles that you cut out because you need something. Oh, look, here's a whole bunch of pieces of perfectly round circle 4mm acrylic. And what I do with these is I hang on to them until my box gets about this full. And normally in the pre-COVID world, I would have cleaned it out before now. I've got 2 or 3 friends that have kids in grade school, and I take those to them and they take them into their school and they glue projects. They glue them onto paper. They glue them onto the world because there's cool little things. There's little hearts and flowers and circles and squares and triangles and everything else in there that the kids can use. So it's scrap, and you're just going to throw it away in the shop. If you put it in a bag, put it in a box, whatever, and when it gets full, you find the nearest elementary school and say, hey, look what I got. You guys want some art supplies? They suck it up in a heartbeat. They love that stuff because if the school wants to get little hearts, the problem is you will get tasked afterwards. It's like, hey, can you make more hearts for us? But, if they want that stuff for their arts and crafts, they have to, those teachers go out and pay for it out of their own pocket because the school has no budget. And thanks to all this great stay at home, no business, no tax time, the government's going broke and they're taking more money away from schools. So I guarantee you the teachers will love you if you help them out any way you can with arts and crafts supplies.
Hey, Alan?
Sir?
Wes had something to share.
Yep, Wes, there's Wes.
Oh, that's horrible video. You guys hear
You need to get outside more, Wes. You're awful washed out.
what's going on with that? I just thought I'd show you guys, this isn't from the laser. I don't have a laser, so I did this at the shop. But these are things I did. This is for Halloween. But this little bat, the idea with these is these are things that kids can paint. So I've got a couple of different sizes of bats. And then one other one I've done, so I did this for Christmas as well. This is a Garfield and a pumpkin. And you just paint it with different colors. And I think these are really nice for the kids to paint. And I did some things for Christmas as well. So I think that's another thing that would be good is to do these kind of cutouts that kids can paint.
Yeah, guys, if I could just brag on Wes for just a second here. He came up, do you have any of your elves that you can show? Anything nearby that you can show us your elf?
The elf has been put away for the season.
I see. Well, that makes sense, right? We are here entering June. Wes kind of took it to the next level. Earlier when I was talking about people helping out with the holiday gift sale, inventing a whole new category is not done very often. And that's what Wes did. He brought a bunch of these, let's see, there were two in particular. There was two elves, right? Two different elves.
Different elves.
And they were really quite compelling. And as a consequence, we asked if we could maybe be doing some of those things. And as life gets back to normal, we're hoping to follow up on that topic. But he came up with this whole new category for doing something that was not just buying a coaster that was finished, it was a project. People would get the paint by number etching with a set of paints and be able to take away a gift that a kid could actually follow up on and turn into a piece of art, which is really great.
Yeah, and one of the other things I'm working on for this is I got the paints just at Walmart, at any hobby store. You get the little acrylic paints. I'm working on a box, a laser cut box to fit those paints,
Oh, cool.
so that potentially we could sell that the cutout along with a box full of paints that are appropriate for that particular one.
That's cool. Thank you.
The issue I'm having there is translating a SketchUp drawing into laser.
Mm.
So having to break it apart and get everything flat and set. But I'm working through it. It's not that big of a deal, but
You can't export a SketchUp drawing into 2D, into a DFX
You can.
file, or
You can. He has to disassemble it though and lay all the parts flat and then export an SVG.
oh, okay.
So he's actually really good with SketchUp. So I think he's putting up a false challenge here.
my problem is the transition from SketchUp to Lightburn.
Okay.
You could just take a picture of it and a screenshot of it and import it into Lightburn like we learned how to trace.
Yep.
So,
The problem there is that because it's a finger joint box, all of those sizes have to be just right.
yeah.
Finger joint box to fit.
Well, also remember that there are those websites. We refer to the one I'm thinking about as boxy.py, but
Right.
it's actually like something like festi.com/boxy.py. They allow you to make just a bonkers number of varieties on boxes, and they're parametric. So you just say exactly what sizes you want, and it takes care of everything. You can tell it what size stock you have, which I always love it when it takes that into account, given that these wine bottle boxes are designed for 3 mil ply, and the stuff that we got for free from Bennett Crone is 3.4, and I have to go through and redesign these things. It's not a huge deal. It's just a hassle to get it right. And yet if it was parametric, I could have just said, hey, this one's 3.4, crank me out some new SVGs, and boom, it does it.
Yes, I've used that site before. It's a great site because I did it for, I made a bunch of boxes for various things like, what am I thinking of? My stud finder. And you just tell it the size you want, and it just spits it out, goes in there, you glue it together, you're done.
So
I was trying to get the URL for that so I could put it into the chat room. But anybody remember it offhand?
I put it there, Travis.
Oh, did you? Oh, wow, you're fast. Okay, great. Thank you. Sam lives.
I'm muted.
Yeah. Hey, Alan, before you wind us down, I had a suggestion that would be good for an agenda in a couple of weeks if you wanted to hear it.
okay, well, that was my next thing I was going to ask for. So
Okay.
sure.
So
go
let
ahead.
me offer you one. So the laser that you have, although admittedly yours is now Frankenstein, the laser that you have, the one that Sam has, the one that I have, they're all this certain category of affordable lasers. Let's say around the $1,200 to $1,400 range. Well, we have somebody in our group who just bought one and received it last week. And it's really fresh in his mind, the whole experience of the unboxing, the setup, the setting up the workstation on wheels, the the exhausting, any experiences he had with getting the software to run, the whole wonderful moment when he finally got his first cut. I think there would be a good story in him just coming and sharing with us his path from, he was a student in our laser class towards the end of last year, and now he owns one and he's just having a blast. And it's fun to see when someone says, I'm going from an auteur or maybe just using the one at the shop to saying, no, I really love this stuff enough that I want to make a commitment. This is not an unreasonable price point. And the cutting area is 20 by 12, I think, right, Alan?
Yeah, that's ours. Yeah.
12 by 20, and it's Alan's is a 60 watt at this point. Mine's more like a 45, ones we get from China. But I think it would be an interesting story for us to hear. And he's a really enthusiastic guy for what it is he's received and what it is he's pulling off. And I think it would just be entertaining. So that's something that I offered to consider. I'd be happy to approach him about it for you.
Yeah, I think that's good. If you want to set that up for next time. If anybody else has any anything they want to either do themselves, which I would appreciate, but if you have questions that you don't have answered, you know, light burn this or laser that, you know, shoot them in and we'll see what we can do. Send them to Travis or send them to me, and we'll yes.
Email them?
Yeah, just email them in. If I was smart enough, I could put, yeah, here it is. Look, I can do this.
Can I give you an example of something that'd be, I would just love to see, and I've been thinking about it for, I guess, like 2.5 years now. There's this software called Amazon Canvas, and it allows you to use a laser to cut veneer for marquetry. But the beauty of it is that it automatically compensates for kerf. And when you cut something out of a piece of veneer, because you wanted to get this particular grain over here, it remembers all of your veneer and what pieces have been taken out already, so that when you put that veneer back in, it knows what's available to be cut. And because it's so perfect, it's kind of like painting with wood grain. And I don't have the important prerequisite for it. Maybe nobody on this call does, but it only works as a plugin or in conjunction with Adobe Illustrator. So we haven't ever gotten to the point of pulling it off because we don't own it at the shop. And so far, nobody's been willing to express curiosity enough to do it. But that's an example of a whole new area of something we could do with a laser that kind of, at least for me, blows my mind. That's, let's see if it's AmazonCanvas.com.
So I put my email address in the chat on the side. Anybody that wants to drop me a note and, about a topic, just write topic for laser SIG in the subject line, and maybe it won't go into my spam folder and I'll see it. I did find Gary's, Travis, I did find Gary's box dimensions for the elves or gnomes or whatever that Peggy was painting.
Oh yeah, right. Good.
I had there was a lot of digging to find that.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have anything? Sam, we haven't talked very much.
Nope. You know.
I'm glad you were going to say something more than that.
I thought he's sort of like that old gunfighter on Gunsmoke, you know. It's like, what do you have to say? Nothing. No.
You know, I was working on those tea light lanterns for Jim, and so I haven't done anything since then yet. So
except relay out your whole.
No, I'm working on that. It's
Yeah.
to make it so that, you know, I want to go into my shop and say, you know, it needs to be inspiring, and it's not right now. So that's what I'm doing. So.
Yeah, mine's like the crowded parking lot at Walmart. I walk in, I have to go move 2 cars before I can start.
Sorry, go ahead, Sam.
No, he probably knows where everything is, though.
No, I have no
No?
idea.
Oh.
I know where my laser is, and I know where the computer is, and the panel saw, because it's in the middle of the floor of the garage, then I have to move it all the time.
Hey, I have a question. Do you know where do you buy your 1/8" plywood or 3mm plywood for lasering? Because you know it's hard to get really good stuff. And
So I get, it's called BBC, I think. It's C grade, which means that it has footballs on both sides, but it can only have, I think, 6 footballs on one side, and I don't remember. But I get it at Soroyan
so
out in
okay.
Santee. It's like $9 a sheet. The stuff you get at TH&H is a better quality Baltic birch, but it's also like $15 a sheet or something like that.
Well, with a discount, it's more like 12, 13, but yeah.
Okay.
It really is good stuff though. Because I've been using this stuff from Bennett Crone. Looks kind of good on the outside, but you know, every 5th panel that I'm using for these wine bottle boxes won't go through because there's some sort of filler in there that keeps it from going through. And that just
drive me crazy.
never had that with the stuff from TH&H. It's just really good stuff. So I'm tossing stuff from the Bennett Crone, and you know, maybe it evens out in the end if I'm having to throw away stuff from Bennett Crone, and yet I always get good results with stuff from TH&H. It's such beautiful stuff from TH&H.
The other difference is TH&H, if you don't have a truck, will do 2 cuts on a piece for you. So they'll cut it down into 2. When I used to go there all the time, I would go and get them cut in 20-inch panels. So you can get, I'd go buy like 5 sheets, and they just stack it up and take that big panel saw and just go right through them like they were butter. But Soroyan won't do that. They do not have a panel saw, so you have to have something that can handle a 5x5 sheet. And it's out in the middle of nowhere. Well, I live in Fallbrook, so Santee's in the middle of nowhere to me.
Hey, Alan, that's Strata.
Strata, that's it. I'm sorry, not Soroyan.
Right. Randy's out there.
Santee's not in nowhere.
It's not in nowhere if you live there. Mars isn't far away if you live on Mars.
You know, Alan, you said something that I think I know the backstory of. You said you used to buy your stuff at TH&H, but then you bought this inventory from Santee. If I remember right, you bought out the store, right?
25 sheets.
Yeah.
Oof.
Okay, so that's why, folks, he's not buying any laser.
It's all gone.
Baltic birch yet. What?
I've gone through that. I got to go back and get some more. I just cut up the last bit of it the other day. But see, I have a panel saw at my house, so I can do that. I can go get the big stuff and cut it up, and then I just cut it into 20, like I said, just 20-inch pieces, and I just stack it 5 feet by 20 on the side wall. And when I need some more, I cut them down. But like I said, theirs is not as good as TH&H, but it's infinitely better than that stuff that you have from Bennett Crone. It is.
Well, Bennett Crone's not that bad. It's the Home Depot stuff that was really bad.
The Home Depot stuff is not Baltic birch, though. It's like, I don't know. It's some track wood from, unknown wood from Asia someplace or something. And it's not 3 millimeter, it's 2.7 millimeter, even though it says 3 on it.
Right.
I quit. I was really frustrated using that wood, really frustrated.
Yep.
And when I started using the stuff from TH&H, it was like the difference between cutting a steak with a butter knife and cutting steak with a steak knife.
Chainsaw.
Chainsaw, yeah. But,
okay.
So, all right. Well, everybody have a very good 3-day weekend inside, at home, whatever.
And Alan, thank you for having repositioned your cameras. We were always looking down on the top of your head previously.
Oh, so the other one's at my big computer, and it's an external camera, but I couldn't find the USB extension cable to be able to walk it around. So that's why I was having to use my phone for that tonight. And since I was going to be over here, I just put my laptop over here. I have way too many computers for different things.
It worked out great, Alan.
It did. It came out pretty good. So if anybody has any questions about this etching on ceramic tile, my email is in the chat room on the side. Like I said, put something in the subject line if you write me that it will stick out so it doesn't look like all the other spam I get every day from everybody. You know, some guy named Travis sends me.
I had a feeling I was in that category. Okay.
Yours has
A real quick notice to everyone, if you don't know it, you can save the chat to a text file. If you just go to the bottom right, there's 3 little dots there. You click on those dots and you say save file, and it just saves it, I don't know, where you download file or something. And that way you can have it right away.
That's great. Thank you for telling us that. Cool. Anything else, Alan?
Nope, I'm fine. Anybody else have one last time around? Anything? We got Sam to talk. Randy actually spoke.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get that.
Thanks,
All
Alan.
right.
Okay.
All right. See you guys in a couple of weeks. Hopefully
All right.
see you in the shop here soon.
Yep. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.